Welcome in, everyone. Today I'll be creating a tier list for the October 2023 Rocket Takeover. Which rockets do you want to prioritize and the Pokemon in specific rockets, and which ones you don't really need. This will primarily be focused on PvP and raiding, and so obviously if you are interested in just collecting certain ones you don't have or shiny shadows, and just collect the ones you're missing. But if you want to find Pokemon that are specifically relevant for PvP or raiding purposes, then this is going to be the tier list for you. Before I dive into the tier list, I just want to shout out a resource I used for this video, and also just a really great one I found recently. It's called multi.im, and this website not only covers raid bosses, as you can see right up here, but it's mainly also covering rocket lineups, which is what we'll cover today. And the real cool part is it kind of breaks down all the different rocket grunts and leaders there are and their respective Pokemon you can get. So as example, on the bug one, you can see that Ladybug, Pineco, Joltik all can potentially be in that first catch encounter slot, but also on top of that, in the second one, you could also catch Weedle, Kakuna, or Beedrill as an encounter. It shows the rough percentages too, so these are just some estimates that they've gathered, but it really just shows the updated available encounters from these rockets, and so you can really see what it is. Looking at the tier list specifically, there's a couple different categories. S tier is a must-have, right? These are Pokemon that you have to prioritize and you really want one in your inventory no matter what. A tier is nice to have, could come in handy later down the road in certain metas or for certain raiding purposes, but not necessary. B is just to be safe. The Pokemon's not great right now, but maybe it can have some utility down the road. C is you like the spice, right? So a Pokemon that maybe isn't the most meta relevant for PvP or raid purposes, but you might be able to squeeze it in if you want to really get spicy with it. And then D is just straight hot garbage. Just skip this rocket if you can, or just, catch it for the component, for the Stardust, whatever to collect, but it's got no real feasible utility in PvP or raiding. So to start things off, let's take a look at Arlo. So Arlo has pretty much 100% guaranteed chance of Bellsprout. And the nice part about this is now it actually can be shiny too. And just based on multi.im, there's about a 60%, 1 in 60% chance of a shiny variant of the Bellsprout. So that's pretty nice to have. I would say let's put it in the A tier. Its real utility is probably PvP, which is going to be that Shadow Victory Bell. Very, very oppressive. Shadow Weeping Bell as well, very hard hitting. Not everyone's cup of tea in terms of strategy purposes, but it is definitely a strong Pokemon that you have to watch out for in PvP regardless. We got Cliff with a 100% chance of getting a Barboach. So no other, sorry, not Barboach. I said Dratini. I was like, Barboach. We've had Dratini in the past, but now it has a shiny variant as well, about a 164 chance. And this is definitely a must-have. Why? It's great in all three leagues. You have utility of Shadow Dragonite in Great League, Ultra League, and Master League for PvP, and obviously for rating purposes does a lot of damage. And on top of that, the Shadow Dragonair is super strong in Great League as well. And that extra shadow damage is really, really nice to have. It just already just hits super hard, and honestly, the typing is pretty great too, resisting water, grass, electric, all this stuff. So, definitely a must-have, and luckily you could guarantee yourself a Dratini every single time you have Cliff. So definitely a high priority rocket leader for sure. Usually we only have one rocket leader that's worth prioritizing, but this time around we have at least two, and honestly the Bellsprout's not even too bad, so maybe three depending on how much you like Shadow Victory Bell. But for Sierra, we have a 100% chance of getting a Sableye. And there's a 1 in 65 chance of getting this as shiny. This has already been around before, but it's been a fan favorite, and I think for good reason. I would definitely throw Sableye in the must-have category. Maybe not as high as the Dratini, for two reasons. One, this is the first time shiny Dratini's ever been released for shadow purposes, so maybe more people want to go for those, whereas Sableye's been around for a while, both shiny and just shadow, so a lot of people have that. But the other important thing is Dratini has utility in all three leagues, whereas Sableye is really only useful in Great League PvP. That being said, it's one of the staples, definitely one worth having. Even if you don't have a great shadow one, you always purify it for that return, and it's one of the best moveset coverages you can have in Great League PvP. This is an interesting one too. So for the decoy rocket, this is when you equipped your kind of rocket Giovanni radar, and you think you encounter him, but it ends up being a decoy grunt. And so these actually have a 100% chance of being Bellsprout as well on that first tier. However, if you look at the website multi.im, their data collection implies that there's only a 1 in 254 chance of it being Shadow, or Shiny, I should say. So maybe if you want a higher chance of a shiny one, you could go for the Arlo. But if you don't really care, you just want Shadow Bellsprout, then you could just equip the Giovanni radar and just look for these decoy rockets. Another thing is there's a chance that you may get the second encounter Pokemon instead. These are way lower odds. I don't know the exact percentage chance of encountering the second tier versus the first tier. Obviously not all rockets have that option, but for decoys you can, and for that one it's going to be Raticate as one of the options. Raticate overall doesn't really have a lot of utility in PvP or raid purposes, so honestly I'm just gonna put that at hot garbage for now. Weeping Bell is another one. It's just like Shadow Bellsprout, but also pretty solid. I'd actually put it slightly above the Bellsprout for the same reasons. It still has nice to have, but you can save yourself a little bit of candy because you can have the Shadow Weeping Bell or evolve to the Shadow Victory Bell, and both have a lot of utility. And you get a little extra starters for catching a second stage evolution. For the Bug Grunts, we have Ladybug as one of the openers. One of my good friends and co-caps, Two Butters, really hypes up Shadow Ledian. However, I gotta say, Shadow Ledian is hot garbage. Even he himself said that it really didn't do much when he invested all the Stardust into it. And not only that, you have to have really high IVs to use it, and it's just a huge sink for Stardust, XL candies, etc. Don't invest in it. It's not good. Pineco. Pineco could be an interesting one. Fortress, I think, has some utility here or there, but it's not super relevant in a lot of metas, especially open ones. In certain limited metas, I think it might be cool, so I would put it probably put it at nice to have. Probably a little bit lower in utility because it's not really great in open metas, but something like Halloween Cup, for example, in PvP, it could be pretty solid to have that Shadow Fortress. We got Joltik. Joltik is a really cool one as well. Shadow Galvantula is going to hit quite hard. Already Galvantula hits pretty hard in general in Great League and Ultra League, but the Shadow variant hits even harder. Overall speaking, I think I'd probably put it around maybe a little bit before the Weeping Bell and Bellsprout. Mainly because you can use Galvantula in Ultra League as well. You do need 100% just to get right under 2500, but it is an option, and it's definitely going to be a grind to find that one. But you can have that second tier as well. You have the Weedle, which is kind of a cool one. Shadow Weedle, Kakuna, and Beedrill in that second slot. And this is a good one too. Again, I don't know if it's a must-have, but they are pretty nice Pokemon to have. So I'm going to put the Kakuna right up before it as well. Same rationale as Weeping Bell. You don't really have to evolve it at that point, so it's nice to save some of that dust, or sorry, some of that candy, and you get a little extra dust for it. Beedrill, I'd actually put it below the Weedle and the Kakuna. Same utility, but the thing is, if you have a Beedrill, you can't really evolve it later for that drill run. You have to use Elite TM. Whereas once in a while, there's events where you can kind of evolve them and get their exclusive move. For the fairies, we have Snubble to start things off. So Snubble, again, kind of a nice to have one, especially if you like those Shadow Charm strategies. I don't know if it's going to be like super relevant in a lot of metas and stuff. But you could kind of cheese on people, especially in Ultra League and Great League. So definitely some utility in those respects. I don't know if it's as good as Shadow Victory Bell because there's a bunch of different charmers, whereas Victory Bell and Weeping Bell are kind of more unique in how hard they hit in that grass roll. Grand Ball, I put it right about here. There's no exclusive move at the moment, so just save yourself some candy. But for the most part, same thing. You get Grand Ball on that second tier of the catch encounter. We have Ralts. Ralts is a pretty cool one too. I'd say I put Ralts maybe around here. And Curlia for the same reason, right above here. And main reason being Shadow Gardevoir, Shadow Gallade. They definitely have some utility in some of the Great League and Ultra League metas. Master League is kind of a stretch in my opinion, but I think there is some niche metas where you can use it. Open formats, not as relevant, but I'll put it there for now. I think actually I'll move I'll move the Joltik up a little bit. Actually, I'll move the Joltik, Weeping Bell, and Bellsprout a little bit, because these three you could theoretically use in a Show 6 format and really pressure opponents in some formats. Shadow Gardevoir, Shadow Gallade is much harder to use in Show 6 Open Great League formats, especially in the Championship Series. We also have Mawile, about a really low shiny chance, according to the multi website, but a shiny chance nonetheless. It used to be in one of the Rocket leaders, if I'm not mistaken. But Mawile could be pretty niche, nice to have. Again, you see some utility in like Halloween Cup and things like that. I'd actually put it above the Gardevoir and Gallade. Actually, no, I'll put it here. Main reason being, Gardevoir and Gallade, there's two different options you could run, so there's a lot more utility with the Ralts, being that there's two Pokemon that you could kind of run in different cups. Whereas Mawile is just kind of one of a kind in its own. I like it still more than these remaining three though, so definitely in the nice to have category. Looking at grass, we have Oddish. It's pretty irrelevant in my opinion. Vileplume, not the best. Blossom could be okay if you like some spice, so I'll put it right there for now. You also have Bellsprout encounter here, but again, you could have it. You can see that encounter in the Decoy and in Arlos. We won't cover that. And Cacnea, pretty much hot garbage. Honestly, I don't know what's worse, the Ledian or the Cacnea. I'll just put the Ledian for now. But yeah, both pretty bad overall. Not really relevant for any purposes at the moment in time. For the normal types, you have Meowth. There's a small shiny chance of Meowth in the Rockets as well. About a 1 in 253 chance. Unfortunately, it's kind of hot garbage. I'm not really sure what Meowth's going to do, let alone Persian. And Glameow, similar situation. Honestly, let's just keep the cats together, but overall, not really any utility there. More higher chances of the Glameow, unfortunately. So for those hunting for the shiny Meowth, your odds are a little bit on the slimmer side, but that sometimes is the case. For poison, we have a Grimer. So that's a cool one. That's been around for a while, and the shadow chance of that, shadow shiny chance of that is 1 in 269. But you have an 82% chance of having it. And honestly, this is kind of like, again, a nice to have one. Shadow Grimer's just not the best, but I think that, there is that Ultra League variant, so you can definitely play Shadow Muck in Ultra League as well. It's great in Kanto Cup in many ways too, in Great League. So we will put it, I don't know. Let's put it here for now. Again, there's double utility in the Ralts for the Gallade and the Gardevoir, so maybe a little bit higher priority, but still a nice to have one, not necessary by any means. Fungus. It's pretty bad. If you look at what Amoonguss learns, pretty bad. Honestly, if you look at what Amoonguss can learn in the main series game and what it could possibly even learn in Pokemon Go because of that, it's still not that great, unfortunately. So we're going to put Fungus in hot garbage as well. Arguably speaking, maybe a little bit better than Meowth. So, but yeah, it's going to be pretty bad. I know that in Scarlet and Violet, there's a Paradox form, Brute Bonnets, and that one might be more relevant, but I don't know if Fungus even evolves into it, or if that's going to be a mechanic or not. If that becomes the case, then maybe Fungus will move up a little bit in the Shadow variants. So hold on to them, but hold on to your best rank ones, I guess, but I don't think it's going to be very good. We have the typeless one. Winning is for winners, and this is a big one because it has all three potential Kanto starters in the slots, and all three can't be shiny. Low odds, but they can't be shiny. You got Bulbasaur, honestly, a really good one. I put it at must-have. Man, do I put this above the Sableye? I will honestly put it above the Sableye for now. Especially in this current meta, Shadow Venusaur is probably more prevalent than Sableye in Open Great League, especially in the championship formats. But on top of that, you can also run Shadow Venusaur in Ultra League. Master League, a little bit of a stretch, but has a lot of utility in Ultra League as well. So definitely a good one to have. And I think, Venusaur is very strong in PvP in general. And that's going to be a good one. We got Charmander, and this is a great one too. Fantastic in Great League. Really good in Ultra League. I'll put it right about, honestly, I'll put it above the Dratini. Yes, Dratini and Dragonite have play in Master League, you have the Dragonair as well with double utility, but Shadow Charizard is just so strong right now in Great League and in Ultra League. Honestly, in my opinion, a little bit more relevant than Dragonite is. We also have Squirtle, and this one, unfortunately, out of the three, probably the least relevant of the three. Unfortunately, the coverage and the typing just isn't as good as the Venusaur and Charizard. However, it does have some niche play in some limited cups. Yeah, you can make one for Ultra League as well on top of that. I'm gonna put it right behind Mawile for now. I think Mawile has a little bit more unique utility. Gramble, not as much because there's a bunch of different Charmers, so I'll put Blastoise a little bit above that, or the Shadow Squirtle, I should say. Shadow Alolan Rattata. So there might be some utility here. I've seen Alolan Raticate used in a decent amount of limited metas, especially like Kanto Cup. I'd probably put it before Squirtle, actually. But nothing crazy, but, you know, it might be coming handy for certain limited metas for sure. Shadow Alolan Grimer. This is a really neat one, and I think it has a lot of utility, especially in Ultra League. But yeah, I don't know. It's it doesn't have a ton of bulk compared to like the Super XL Pokemon in Ultra League or some of the legendaries. However, it could do pretty well in certain situations. And honestly, I think I might put it above. It's a tough one. I'll put it above the Kakuna and the Weedle family, mainly because you can use this in Ultra League as well. Whereas these three, you're only using it in Great League. But nice to have, not super necessary. Great in some limited metas, and it could be good in the official championship series. I know at least one person in Brazil, Harjeffi, actually made top cuts, made the top 4, I think, running it in his team. So pretty wild stuff. We have Shadow Alolan Executor. This is probably not really a great one. You could probably have this as like just to be safe, but honestly, this might be just a spice pick, to be honest. I don't think it's kind of hard to use. There might be some formats where you can run it, but it's not the best. However, there's only a 2% chance of even getting this from that Dragon Rocket, so pretty low odds in general. So count yourself lucky if you even encountered it. We got Gibble. This is a cool one, though. Is it a must-have? No. Is it nice to have? Yeah. Mostly for probably Master League and Ultra League. I honestly never even seen a Shadow Garchomp in action, but I think it would be really cool if you make it work. Honestly, this just having one in general is kind of nice, so I'll just put it up here. Might have even less utility than Beedrill, mainly because you want 100% for that Shadow Garchomp or close to it for Premier or Master League. And it does have some potential Open Master League play, so I'll move it up beyond the Beedrill and stuff. But I personally never even seen one in action. I think partially it's because it's so expensive and just hard to even get that 100%. Right, we got electric types. So I know I give, Shadow Ampharos kind of a bad rap at times. I, say it's not the best. But honestly, I think it's not too bad, especially because now it has Trailblaze. So even like if you look at the Electric Cup meta, it actually has some interesting coverage, especially because it could take out Lantern and stuff like that. Definitely could be interesting in some niche metas, and I've lost to a handful of them in Ultra League as well, and sometimes Great League. So I think it could be pretty good. Honestly, I'll put this above the Gibble. Actually, I would put it at the top and nice to have. I think it's a very cool Pokemon that you can do once in a while, but it's got more utility than I probably have made it seem in the past. However, in the official championship circuits, definitely hot garbage still. Shadow Shinx is an interesting one. I would probably put it somewhere around maybe here. Main reason because the times you need it are pretty rare. However, when you do need it, it could be pretty nice. I've used it a few times in some Sylph solo metas as well as Ultra League factions metas. Obviously, Sylph's not around anymore, but future Grassroots tournaments may also feature Luxray. I think the really cool part about this is Electric Cup, and we're about to have Electric Cup for the second time in the same year, so it looks like Electric Cup might be here to stay, and you want that ground hidden power Shadow Luxray if you can find it. However, the odds are super, super low. So, for the purposes of this upcoming cup, this might be a must-have, but just in general, for a year-round purposes, it's nice to have. It just, when you do need it, though, it could be really relevant, so might be a good one to look for. About 39% chance in the Electric Grunts. For the fighting one, Hitmonlee. Man, this is pretty hot garbage. I don't really know how it's going to be utilized for much, but it's just not great. Hitmonchan, it's not really good either. I've never really seen a lot of metas where it's like super nice. Maybe we'll just put it in the just to be safe category. There's just so many other better fighters, even shadow fighters these days, so you really don't need it. We got Hisuian Sneasel. This is an interesting one. Honestly, I don't really know what to make of this one. It could be good in certain situations, but I haven't seen Sneasler enough to see how it really operates in a lot of metas. I think there's like 1 or 2 GBL metas that I've seen it in, but yeah, I don't know. It could be okay. So I would just put it at the top of the just to be safe category. I would probably move this up to nice to have sometime down the road if I have a better assessment of it. But for the time being, definitely do it and keep some just in case, right? Just to be safe in case there's some future metas. Open team formats, I don't really think it's going to be super relevant, although there was at least one Sneasler that did decent at previous regionals for a championship series. So could be good here or there, but I wouldn't put too much stock in it at this moment in time. We got Shadow Vulpix. This has been around for a while, but I think it's a really good one. And I think this was, I'll put it at top of A. It's been relevant in a lot of Great League formats as well as the Championship Series. We've had Cindy, Greenish Backwards, win the first ever Canadian regional in Vancouver during that first season with that Shadow Vulpix. The person that got second place at World Championships that same year, Golden Hada, also ran that Shadow Kanto Ninetales. And, you know, you also have Shadow Vulpix for Little Cup. Like, there's a lot of utility there. So I think it's really, really nice. I wouldn't put it as a must-have, but I think it's a really nice one to have for sure. Oh, this is a tough one. I'm going to put this at the bottom of the Spice category. Maybe I put it above the Lone Executor. Now, this is not great, but I definitely recall losing to like a Shadow or a camera up here or there in some cup. I don't remember which one. Some limited cup in GBO. So if I've lost it before, it might be okay. It's not complete hot garbage, but yeah, it's not super relevant. All right, we got Litwick. This is kind of an interesting one too. Maybe nice to have. I probably put it at the just to be safe category. You don't really need it for much. It's really Chandelure in Master League that you might have play in, but you need 100% as well. And Chandelure is already super glassy. It might be a really great raid attacker if you get 100% one, but again, it's a really high investment, and the odds of you getting the great IVs one for Master League or rating purposes is not very high. You can, however, use Litwick in some little cup formats, and so maybe the Shadow variant could be pretty good there. So honestly, because of all that, I'd actually put it in nice to have category. I'll put it right here, especially with Little Cup, but also with the odds, with the chance of getting a good one for Master League Premier or for raid purposes. I think it does have some value for sure. We got Shadow Zubat. This is actually a good one. I'd honestly put this pretty high up as well. You got Shadow Golbat. It has a lot of play in a lot of Great League formats, like Halloween Cup currently, but also in Ultra League sometimes you have formats like, I think Ultra League Halloween Cup maybe last year we had Shadow Crobat in action. I'm not really sure, but I think just in general, the Shadow Golbat in Great League limited formats is really, really solid. And so I think it's definitely a good one to have in your arsenal if you can. Shadow Natu, Shadow Xatu, whatever it is pretty hot garbage. I played one Sylph meta back in 2019 where Xatu was relevant, but it was probably one of the worst metas that Sylph ever made, and it's never been relevant ever since. Let's put it right here. Yeah, I don't think it's really relevant for much, unfortunately. Ducklet's a cool one. This might be a nice one to have, mostly just for Little Cup purposes. Just depends on how much you care about Little Cup, so I'll put it right here. But Little Cup, it's forced to be reckoned with Ducklet in general. Shadow variant's not too bad, although a lot of times when you're looking at the sims, like Shadow variant's actually worse than the non-Shadow, so you don't really need a Shadow. Oh, Shadow Ghastly. Wow, this is going to be an interesting one. It is super frail. If you thought Gengar was frail already, Shadow Gengar, that's something. That is something. Might be okay. Gengar is useful in some very limited metas, but not as much these days. There's just a lot of better ghosts in general. And especially all the XL Pokemon. Just can't really keep pace. But I'm gonna put this on just to be safe. Like, I don't think there's a situation where you definitely need Shadow Gengar, but maybe it could be handy here or there in some limited metas down the road. Also, if you get a Shadow 100% Gengar, it could be a great raid attacker for sure for ghost damage. So that might be a good one. But again, is it really worth hunting for just for that? I wouldn't really put too much stock in it. All right, Shadow Shuppet. It's a tough one. I used to be a big fan of Shadow Banette back in the day, but it's just not as good these days, especially with XL Pokemon. Yeah, you can even run an Ultra League, but again, just so many other better Pokemon. Maybe down the road, if they give a bait move to Banette, it could be better. We got Shadow Duskull. Duskull's an interesting one for sure. Is it going to be really, really relevant? I don't know. This is kind of a tricky one just because the Shadow variant, not so much overall, but a lot of times the Purified Dusclops is pretty nice because you have that return, which gives it kind of some nice coverage. Kind of acts kind of like a Sableye, right? With, you know, some ghost damage and some normal damage. Not a lot of stuff walls it off. It has some of those elemental punches. So it's definitely a nice one to have. I'd probably put it, I feel like maybe about here. I think I see it in action once in a while in limited formats, mostly Dusclops. But even if you don't want to run the Shadow variants, you have to catch a Shadow to make the Purified one. So, could be worth it. Whooper's a really cool one. I think Shadow Whooper can have a lot of play in a lot of situations. I'd honestly put it maybe, probably above here, actually. Yeah, Shadow Whooper's actually really, really cool. It just hits a little bit harder than the Shadow Quagsire, than the non-Shadow Quagsire. And the guy that got second place in World Championships this year, Rubik's Master, had a Shadow Quagsire on his team. So it actually has a lot of play in the Championship Series format as well, and Show 6. And so I think it's really, really good, and I'm sure it's useful in a lot of GBL metas too. We got Shadow Drober. This is a really cool one. However, it's really limited to just mostly Master League. So you really need to try to get that 100% one. It could be good for raid attacking purposes too. Once in a while, there's a few Ultra League metas, like Ultra League Fancy Cup, that might be good. But I think it's a cool one. Definitely a cool one that a lot of people are probably going to be looking for. The odds of getting a good one, though, is really, really low. So maybe try to catch them during weather boosted days as well, because that might be a good one to get weather boosted catch. Higher chance of getting 100% IVs. Sandshrew, a Alolan Sandshrew. Whew. This is a good one. Honestly, you got to bump this up pretty high up here. It's got a ton of play right now, especially in Great League, especially in the Championship Series format. Probably the best steal at the moment, better than Registeel even, and Galarian Stunfisk, and Bastion, and pretty much all the steals. So it's got really great coverage. Yes, double weak to fighting, but even on top of that, double weak to fighting against meta where Metachamp is the highest usage Pokemon, it's still relevant. It really goes to show how strong it is. Not only in Great League, but Ultra League as well. Fantastic in Ultra League. It has a lot of play in the limited formats as well as the open Ultra League as well. So a really, really good one. I think a lot of the first legends last season of GBL hit it running Shadow, Alolan Sandshrew, Sandslash in Ultra League. So anyway, very high priority Pokemon for sure. Honestly, I'll put it above the Charmander. Shadow Charizard is cool, but Alolan Sandslash has way more utility right now. Shadow Vulpix. Whew, this is it a must-have? Yeah, I'll say it's a must-have. It's really, really solid. That extra charm damage really hits hard, but even the Powder Snow damage, Powder Snow Weather Ball damage on Shadow Alolan Ninetales can be really, really solid. Great in Great League and in Ultra League as well, and in GBO, a lot of formats. Definitely a good one to have. It's, you know, been out for a couple months now, but I think there's still a lot of people still looking for it, and I think it could be really, really good. Shadow Swinub. Is this super necessary? No. But it's nice to have. You know, once in a while, Shadow Piloswine is okay in certain metas, even in Ultra League as well as XL required, but it still could be pretty solid. Shadow Mamoswine in Master League and Master League Premier is really, really cool. However, again, kind of like Excadrill, kind of hard to get, but if you could get it, could be pretty nice. I'll put it right above here. We got Abra. This is kind of a weird one. I probably put it at like something around here just to be safe. Like you can use Alakazam, I guess, for a raid attacker once in a while in like some formats, but I don't think it's very, very good. However, if you're really looking for especially a hard-hitting raid attacker, I think it'd be pretty good. I think it's one of the best Pokemon for Guzzlord raids, although I think you need a Mega form for it, so maybe that's not as relevant. Honestly, because of that, let's put it as you like the spice. I don't know. Shao Alakazam is really hard to use. Let's just say right here. Yeah, I don't think it's very, very good, but maybe you want to try to be spicy, have a hard-hitting Psychic Pokemon, then that'll be an option for you. We already covered Natu, so that's already covered. We have Spoink. That is straight hot garbage as well. I don't even know what Spoink does, to be honest. Let's put it all the way at the bottom, but it's just not good. Girafarig is an interesting one, though. I think this one could be really, really solid in some limited metas, especially, I forgot which one it was. It was the one without steel types in it and dark types, and it just popped off because nothing resists that psychic damage. It's definitely utilized in limited formats and maybe some grassroots formats, but I can see some utility here or there. So for that purposes, I'm going to put it maybe about here. You don't see it too often, but when you do see it, it could be really, really good in certain respects. We already talked about Shadow Ralts, so we don't have to worry about that one for that second category in Psychic. Moving on to Rock, we have the Alolan Geodude. I don't know. This is like a just to be safe kind of Pokemon as well. I don't think it's super relevant, but once in a while you might have it. Like, especially in Electric Cup, maybe you could utilize it, but yeah, it's not super relevant by any means. We got Cranidos. This is a really good one if you're a raider, but that's probably pretty much it for Shadow Rampardos. It's going to hit super, super hard. So if you're really big into raiding, this could be kind of a higher priority Pokemon for you. I'll probably put it right here. If you don't really care about raiding, Rampardos pretty much has no play in PvP purposes. Cranidos, no play. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that. We got Shieldon. Unfortunately, Shieldon is only at 10% roughly as an encounter for rock encounters, which is just unfortunately really, really low. However, it is a cool one to have, especially if you like Bastion. Is it better than non-Shadow Bastion? I don't think so. As someone that enjoys using Bastion quite a bit, I would say that yes, it's cool to have the Shadow variant now, but overall, the non-Shadow Bastion is going to be much better because you're really utilizing it for the bulk, not for the damage. That being said, though, I think Bastion does have a lot of utility in so many respects, especially in Great League, Open Great League. So I would definitely put it maybe around here. I think Estradrome might be a little bit more useful in Master League if you can find one, but Great League Shadow Bastion could be fun to play. We got Graveler in the second slot category. Honestly, Graveler's pretty bad. I'll put it at hot garbage for now. I've never really seen a Graveler have any play, especially Kanto Graveler. Shadow Lileep. This is actually kind of a cool one. It has some play in Little Cup, but also Shadow Cradily in Great League and Ultra League can be pretty solid. For Ultra League, you do need the Hundo though, so definitely one that's a little bit on the expensive side, but I think it could be pretty good. I'm going to put it around here for now. Yeah, maybe here. Yeah, I mean, yeah, playing Little Cup, Great League, and Ultra League. Golbat's mostly just Great League, so I think there's a lot more utility in the Cradily. We got Anorith. This has been around for a while, to be honest, and it's just straight hot garbage as well. I mean, just like Spoink, I have no idea what it really does, but it's been in the Rockets for a while, and I really wouldn't mind if they take that one out. We already covered Shadow Alolan Sandslash, but Alolan Diglett, again, just like, what are these things doing here? I have no idea. I'll put it right here. But yeah, I'll join our friends Anorith and Spoink. We have Shadow Aeron. Might be okay in some limited formats. I don't know. Let's put it in like the... I don't think it's going to be really good. I mean, I guess you could run some Chi Shadow Aggron strategies, but I don't really think it's like super important. I'll put it right here, and then we could put the Lairon right above before that. Save some candies when you evolve. No real difference between those two, though. We got Shadow Metang. This is actually a cool one. A really nice one as well, mainly for Master League. But it could be good. and also for rate purposes. So I'll put it maybe above the Gibble, actually, because that's a lot of play, especially in Premier and Open Master League. And for rate purposes, it's going to hit quite hard. However, getting 100% one is a very tall order, especially because of the second encounter slot for the steel types. So even a lower chance of encountering it. And then, yeah, only 21% out of those encounters too. We got Shadow Snorlax. It's actually a really cool one. I want to say it's a must-have, but it has a lot of play, especially in Ultra League, Great League, and Master League, actually. Especially Master League, but Great League, I feel like there's been a lot of times where it's pretty solid, especially in Kanto Cup. So, yeah, this is a really cool one. I like it a lot, and honestly, I'd probably put it right here. Now, obviously, Extra is newer, so it has more novelty, but overall, if you don't have either of these shadows, Shadow Snorlax is going to come in more handy. I think a lot of people aren't going to care about Shadow Snorlax as much because we've had years of Shadow Snorlax encounters. So if you already have some good ones, then you're probably not looking for yourself. But I personally am still looking for that 100% Shadow Snorlax. Shadow Psyduck, it's kind of hot garbage, to be honest. Yeah, we'll put it up here just to be nice, but it doesn't really have too much play. We got Shelder. Shadow Shelder is kind of a weird one too. Like, there's already so many better ice water types, so I'll put it as a spice pick at best, but it has a lot of redundancy with a lot of the other water ice types. Shadow Barbo, it's just a new release. It's actually a really cool one, and I actually think it's really neat. I haven't seen how useful it is, so let's put it, I don't know, let's actually put it right here for now. We'll have to wait and see how much utility it has, but I think it could be really cool. Who knows? Maybe I'll bump it up right next to Whooper, its Mudboy brother, later on. But for now, we haven't really seen how much it does. I do think Whooper's coverage, Shadow Quagstar's coverage, is a little bit better. Blizzard just takes way too long to get to for Whiscash, and it's kind of overkill on damage against Grass if you're Shadow. So, but the extra damage to the Mud Bombs will be nice for sure. Magikarp's a really cool one. It has some play in Great League, definitely Ultra League and Master League as well. Is it necessary? No, but it is a cool one to have, especially if you get the right IVs for Master League Premier. I think it'd be really good. I'd probably put it above the Excadrill, just because Great League Gyarados is a thing at times, and especially in certain limited metas. And Ultra League, it used to be kind of a staple before kind of a lot of the XLs overtook, but it has still some play if you want to run it. And it looks like I actually forgot some of these, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit because I think I forgot some of these to place some of these. So let's go with the two electrics I forgot. So Shadow Blitzel, pretty much hot garbage. Let's put it with our cats. I think our cat friends would enjoy a little Shadow Blitzel there. And then we got Shadow Voltorb. Voltorb's actually really cool to have. It has a lot of play in, Love Cup, but I don't think you really need Shadow variants, so maybe we'll just put it at the just to be safe category. It's not really super relevant. And again, my friend Tuo Butters did try to run one in Ultra League, and not worth the XL, so let's just put it that way. Going back to ground to another one I missed, we got Shadow Hippopotas. I don't know how to pronounce it, but Shadow Hippowdon could be okay in some metas. Like, I don't know. I've only seen it really have play in like very limited metas. Maybe Master League Premier like a long time ago. This is definitely a just to be safe Pokemon, but not really something that you really need to stress over. But in that second category, ground as well, this is a super rare encounter. We got Shadow Rhyhorn. This is a new release, and Shadow Rhyperior, especially in Master League, could be really cool because it now has Breaking Swipe, and it's definitely a really solid move as well. Is it necessary? No. Is it nice to have? Yeah, I guess so. But again, it's a really hard one to kind of grind for, so I'll just put it here for now. You kind of really just want it for Master League in most situations, and getting the 100% one is kind of tough. However, for rate purposes, this actually might not be bad too, because this is actually a pretty solid rate attacker. So maybe I'll bump this up to right here. Yeah, we have a lot of the ground rock types in that area, but I think for good reason. On top of all the grunts and the rocket leaders, we have the ultimate encounter, which is with Giovanni. And for that, this current rotation, it awards you with Regigigas. Now, this is kind of a, I don't know, right? It's definitely a spice Pokemon, but at the same time, it's really not meta relevant. It's really bad in like pretty much every format. So I'll put it at the very bottom just to be safe. Why I say this is because you can choose not to get your Shadow Legendary during rotation. What you do is you don't want to get through the first page of the research, right? The Shadowy Disturbance or whatever it's called. Don't want to get past the first page. You could do like some of the tasks, but don't click next. Don't claim all the rewards and go to the next page. If you do, then you won't get the next Shadow task, special research, when the next Shadow event occurs until you finish this one. However, if you don't get past the first page, it allows you to get new Shadow research on the next rotation as well. So why I'm saying this is because if you skip the Regigigas this time around and you don't go next, then you'll have another Shadow Radar, Giovanni Radar for the next upcoming legendary if you want to spend 2 on that one. However, there might be some merit to keeping a Shadow Regigigas. It is super not meta relevant at all by any means. It's really bad, but you never know. There's always a small chance Niantic makes it relevant for some reason. And just to be safe, you might want to catch one, because I don't think you could really get a Great League eligible Shadow Regigigas after this rotation, because when they're in raids, they're going to be level 20. Right now, if you catch them, I think they're level 8 if it's not weather boosted, and level 13 if it's weather boosted. I highly recommend, if you want to catch this, don't catch it when it's partly cloudy, because if it gets weather boosted, then there's really no point in even using your radar. You could just wait till Shadow Regigigas is in raids one day. But overall, I don't really think you really need it, but this is straight up the definition of just to be safe. Just the one chance you have of getting a Great League one is this situation. So if you really want to be safe, spend your 1 radar on that. But Regigigas never really been relevant, and I don't think it will be. That's pretty much my tier list. So hopefully this is helpful for people, and if you like it, definitely let me know. If you don't like it, let me know as well. What would you change on this tier list yourself? But these are really the must-haves for sure. A lot of these nice-to-haves are nice to have, as they would say. But the rest you kind of ignore. The Hisuian Sneasel, I would probably bump up eventually if it has some utility. For now, I'm not really sure about it. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. And again, a big shout out to multi.im. Check out their website. I will link them down below. But it's a great way to keep up to date on the recent rockets and what's in the rotations, just so that when you see them out in the wild, you know which ones to raid for. I wish you all the best on finding the perfect Shadow Pokemon for you, whether you're like me, looking for a good Shadow Shieldon, or you're just going for something meta like a Shadow Alolan Sandslash, or you're just a shiny collector and you're looking for Shadow Shiny Meowth. Whatever floats your boat, hope it goes well, and until next time, peace out and have a good one. Bye.